Good afternoon, guys. Dark Purple Shadow here. Today's date is the 5th of August 2025, and I want to take a minute to tell you about how my journey of fat loss has been going. I'm deep into this now. I'm officially back in rapid fat loss mode after about 10 days. 4 or 5 of the last few days have been solid. I've been on it, and the 10 days where progress stalled, that wasn't a disaster. It wasn't a disaster. It's something I planned, and I'm not upset about it. As of this morning, if we're talking numbers, I'm 109 kilograms, which I'm quite happy with. That's nearly 9 kilograms down from the start point and nearly 10 kilos overall. So it might not sound like a lot, but to me, that's massive. In terms of actual how I look, there's not a huge difference, if I'm honest with you. I do look better, but would I say I look night and day? Definitely not. But I've gained so much in other ways. I feel lighter, I feel more energetic, I feel more capable of doing things, and obviously my confidence and faith in the process has been built up a bit, and that's something that's worth a lot. Like any diet, when I come back to it, there's a bit of a lag when you restart. You don't immediately see results. The body needs time to readjust. But once that happens, you get that quick flush of water weight and glycogen. But truth be told, that didn't happen this time because I wasn't really super overloaded with glycogen to begin with. My YOLO days were quite tight, and what I did was this time, I made sure to think about how I planned it. So a lot of the refeeds, quote unquote, that I had were thought about in advance. I'll get to that in a bit, but what I will say is I did notice something about my ability to intuitively eat. A lot of people will say, listen to your body, bro. Eat what you need. Eat when you're hungry. Follow your cues. And I'll tell you right now, if I did that and I stayed doing that, I'd just get fatter and fatter. I need about 4,000 calories to actually be full, and that's eating whole foods. God forbid what that would be if I was eating M&Ms and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But that is well above my maintenance. Even if I'm getting protein in whatever, if my calories are that high, I'm gonna get fat. There's no way around it. My maintenance at best is 3,500 on a day where I'm doing a decent amount of activity. But in reality, it's probably just under 3,000 calories, which is still not, it's not a ridiculous amount of food for somebody as big as me, you know? So I need to bear in mind that that 4,000 calorie mark will allow me to gain about a pound of fat a week at least. So that's something I need to keep in check. I've also noticed that I benefit a lot from calorie cycling. Now, what does this mean? This means that if you have a day where you eat a lot of calories, 4,000 for example, you went out, you had a nice day, you ate whatever was at the food cart, you tracked it as well as you could, you had a few snacks in the evening, maybe a protein yogurt, a protein shake. You know, you had a good day, but it was high in calories. You follow that up with an ultra low calorie day if possible. So you add in strategic rapid fat loss days or fasting days or just very limited calories along with your super high days to almost blunt the damage. So instead of progress going backwards, you spin your wheels a bit. This is far better than just straight up gaining day after day after day. It's not about fixing your mistakes, it's about making sure the damage your mistakes do is minimized. You're not going to reverse all the damage you do, but you can minimize it. So where do I stand in terms of actual numbers? Currently, I weigh 109 kilograms. By the end of August, I want to be at 105, simple as. By the end of September, I want to be under 100 kilos. Simple, easy targets. Now the reality is I feel like I might exceed the August target. I feel like that makes September easier, but the truth is there is a chance even if I do things well, I won't get to sub 100. It's unlikely, but there is a chance. But my only target from now until then, I can't control what happens with my body. What I can control is what I do, my actions, and that it will simply be 200 grams or near enough of protein a day. I'll probably get less than that, 20 grams, 30 grams less, you know. But if I get close to 200 grams, it's not the end of the world. I need to stay around 1,000 calories a day, which sounds ridiculously low for somebody as obese as me. But that is the point of a rapid fat loss diet. It's a protein sparing modified fast. You basically eat nothing but protein and kind of auxiliary bits and bobs you get with it, and vegetables. And even the vegetables you eat are like leafy greens and broccoli and the lowest of the low calorie vegetables possible. The other thing I need to focus on is my supplementation and electrolytes. Big one is fish oils, making sure that I'm not losing my mind, make sure I'm getting my essential fats, keeping my hormones in check. And if I do that, whatever happens, I'll be happy with myself. Mentally, I'm in good spirits. I am craving carbs every day. I close my eyes and I think of bread, rice and pasta. but I'm handling it. I'm not crashing, I'm not foggy. I just want to eat carbs, simple as. The idea of having a thick German doner with lots of meat, vegetables, and that bread on the outside, that sounds like, to me, heaven on earth. But that's just the way things are. You got to sacrifice a bit. You won't be entirely happy, eating at a deficit, because if you're the type of person who needs to lose weight, you probably do have an above average appetite and a propensity to overeat and a love for food. And fixing that, especially in a fast way, is going to lead to being put in situations where you're effectively quote unquote starving. I'm not actually starving, but in my brain, to some extent, my brain's like, you haven't eaten bread, you must be starving. Do you know what I mean? Physiologically, however, I don't think I actually feel any hunger on a day-to-day. There's a simple litmus test for this. If you wouldn't eat a raw chicken breast in that moment, you're probably not hungry. As simple as, obviously. There are caveats to that, but for a grown person who's overweight and obese, that's probably a good way of thinking about things. So, I'm in a position where sweetened Greek yogurt feels like a dessert. I had a dessert the other day where I got 2 scoops of whey protein, mixed it with Greek yogurt, put a few sprinkles on it, and called it a brownie batter. Insane. But that is the situation we're in. And this is essentially part of the diet. It's basically, simply put, the work I have to put in to get the results. You don't get extreme results without extreme dieting. And I'm not advocating everybody jump into this, but I think there are some positives here. One of the biggest positives I've noticed is the cravings I'm having are very wholesome. I'm craving chicken and rice with like a side of some nice vegetables. I'm not craving, fried chicken, French fries, and gravy. I'm not craving that. I probably would eat it if it was in front of me, but when I close my eyes, I just see a bowl of basmati rice with bloody chicken on it, or a healthy German doner. German doner isn't by its nature healthy, but if you put lean protein in the bread, you're fine. So, in terms of supplements and nutrition, 3 fish oil tabs a day, daily multivitamin. I have a gummy, probably has about 1 gram or 2 of carbs. I don't really care. My DIY electrolyte drink, which is basically potassium salt and sugar-free cordial, maybe some regular salt as well if I need it. Plenty of vegetables, again, not the starchy stuff like spinach, stuff like broccoli. Honestly, I think micronutrient deficiency when you're on such a diet is overblown, mainly because I think everybody who lives on the standard UK diet is probably micronutrient deficient as it is. If you're eating 150 grams of fat a day from air-fried Aldi food, that's not really much better than what I'm doing. If anything, I think it's worse. So I'm not really too fussed. Now let's talk about lifting. Lifting has been amazing. Let's talk gym. I've been getting back on track. Training has been amazing. Bench, I'm doing 105 for 5 reps. Again, not a lifetime PR, but the best I've had in recent months. Squat, 110 kilos, 8 to 10 reps comfortably. Again, nowhere near lifetime PR, but the form is clean, the vibes are good, and I can work with this. Overhead press, I'm actually near enough my all-time best. I'm not far off it. I think my all-time best was 80 kilos for 4 reps maybe, overhead press, but I was at a lower body weight. Currently, I'm doing 70 kilos at 6 reps. I think it was 5 reps I got last session, but then I kind of got tired very quickly after that. Pull-ups, I can do 4 or 5 at my current body weight, so I'm pretty happy with that. Again, it's not textbook perfect pull-ups, but it's not terrible either. The form is serviceable. Deadlift, 140 for 5 is the most I've done recently. I'm quite worried about doing deadlift and ramping it up too much. I'm just very careful. Right now I'm working on movement patterns, and essentially if I'm going to do deadlift with lower weight, I'd rather just do rows or something like that. And I'll be honest, me personally, whenever I get really proficient at rows, especially off the floor pendlay rows, my deadlift goes up without even me trying. So I'm not too fussed about deadlift. I'm doing sumo anyway, it doesn't really count. So challenges, soon I've got a wedding coming up. It's not mine, it's my friend's brother's, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna fast the whole day. I'm gonna just focus on eating a few pieces of meat there. Probably won't be perfect, but as long as I'm in a calorie deficit, it's not gonna affect me, It's not gonna be textbook rapid fat loss, but it's gonna be good enough. I'm gonna eat protein options there. I'm gonna have a bit of the food. I'm gonna try and minimize the damage that I do. I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna have a double scoop of whey protein. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna go back to the program the next day. And the long-term maintenance game is where I feel like there's gonna be an issue going forwards. I still haven't had one day in the entire time since I've started quote unquote transforming, dieting, whatever you want to call it. I haven't had one day where I feel like I've hit my maintenance calories and just stopped. If I let myself eat maintenance, I just kind of overeat. And that is a big issue I find with myself. I can focus on the deficits. I can kind of not care about anything, but find that middle ground where I'm at maintenance, I need to focus on it. So I need to learn how to eat normally. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So the final thoughts are quite simple. Dieting isn't fun. It's not sexy. It's working. You're going to be hungry. If you're doing it properly, you probably should be hungry to some extent. These people who say you can eat whatever you want and you won't be hungry and this. Realistically, I'd rather not eat a kilo of lettuce just to not be hungry. I'd rather just eat like a sane individual, the stuff that I have to, and call it a day. Eat enough to be not deficient, and then just not eat stuff I don't want to. I don't want to eat a kilo of lettuce. But right now I feel like I can realistically lose a kilo every 5 days, and I think that's very reasonable. I'll be where I want to be, but more importantly than that, than seeing the results on the scale, is building those systems that will come in when I finally reach my goals. And I'm really thinking about that, and that's why I'm going to keep going. And there's a lot of work to do with building those systems for when I do hit my goals. So when I get down to sub 100 kilos, I'll probably diet a bit more, have a bit of a buffer, and then try and work at staying at maintenance for maybe a month or two. Finally, thanks for listening to me waffle on a bit. If you're on a similar journey, keep grinding. It's not supposed to be easy, but it is worth it. I'll check in again soon, and hopefully my numbers will be even better. My energy will be even better. And ideally, maybe I'll be eating some carbs again. But otherwise, peace.